So welcome to the Thursday Tea. I am Kaisa, your host today. The purpose of this tea moment is that we get to connect with like-minded leaders, entrepreneurs, how we can support each other to rise up together. It's been challenging years, and I bet the challenges are not gonna end right away, considering all what's happening in the world. So how can we support each other to take the step forward? And what I really want to discuss today is that how you can beat procrastination. That's what I hear a lot, like how you can just take those steps that you want and need to create the results that you want. So if you have some dreams and other things that you've been postponing and holding back, let's have a conversation around that what you can do to take that step forward. So what I hear a lot is that there's a lot of things on the plate. So how you can find the focus, what to do, and where to start. So let's have a conversation around that. And obviously, when you do start procrastinating your dreams, desires, those results and outcomes that you want, what can you do then to keep the momentum going? Yes, let me get other people to join us. Welcome, Supika. So I was just having an introduction here, what this is for. So I'm gonna just start with what to do to beat procrastination and take those steps. And I want to hear your burning questions. How can I support you, and how you all can support each other as well. I see some of you are not on camera. If you can join with the camera, that will be lovely. And those of you on Facebook Live, you can drop your questions there as well, and I'll see if I can answer those as well. So what I wanted to start with was actually sharing my best insights and lessons from also the workbooks that I've been sharing with you if you're getting my emails and newsletters. And what I want to start with is that I'm from Finland. If you don't know Finland, I'm also from Finland, born and raised, lived there for 30 years before starting a nomadic living lifestyle, traveling around the world, living in different cities and continents. And Finland has been nominating now 6 times in a row to be the world's happiest country. And as a Finn, we all I think were a bit surprised about these results when it first came out 6 years ago, and we were like, oh yeah, there must be something wrong with the calculation and statistics. And now I think we can fairly say that it's been 6 years of owning. We get to own the position as the happiest country. So I put together a workbook highlighting what are kind of what I think and others think and see as the essential ways of living that Finnish people normally have, or in general have. And what I've really learned and what I've cultivated to have a healthy, happy lifestyle and cultivate that. Yes, welcome, Sari, as well. If you can be on camera, that's great. So I put together this happy workbook, and I wanted to share you one of my favorites from there, which is really like finding your path to freedom. Freedom is one of my biggest values. Finland is a very young country. We've been independent only for a bit over 100 years, which isn't a lot. And a lot has happened during those 100 years. We were under Sweden and under Russia before that. So we've really increased our well-being during the last decades. And freedom, I hope I can say and speak from other Finns as well that freedom is really essential for our well-being and for the country, and one of the things why we would be the world's happiest. But I see that it begins by accepting your true self. What is your true self, authentic self, however you want to describe it, and how you can really respect you being you. What is your uniqueness? Because we all are unique, and I know you've heard that maybe like a million times, but I want to address this because I've had my own challenges really seeing my uniqueness and greatness, because sometimes we might feel like differences are pulling us apart, but how we can actually see that the differences are the greatness in you and in others. So I wanted to share that from the workbook, and let me share you in the chat. Sorry, I don't have this for the Facebook Live, but and do please use the chat to tell us where you're from. I know we have some other Finns here as well. So maybe we can hear from Sari, like, what do you really value from Finland, and what do you think makes Finnish people the happiest in the world? Like I was sharing, I think it's the freedom that is like the essential foundation, but how we can use the freedom individually also. And this is obviously applicable anywhere, because we all have a freedom to choose. And I think what we often think is that when we are choosing or making decisions, those are very definite, like indefinite, like but we can always make a new decision. There's no lack of making decisions. So that's been also something that I've worked with a lot. And this how it comes together with the procrastination is that I have a need to control things and have things my way. Raise your hand if you have similar. I want to call it a challenge, because for me it has been a challenge, because then when we are just like pondering all the options and wanting to control everything, that might make us to procrastinate, not start or not finish. And that's how I want you to look at freedom as well, and freedom to choose, and always choose differently. If you notice that, well, what my coach likes to say, that the faster you make decisions, the better, because then you see the results of your decisions, and then you can also pivot faster, noticing like what's working, what's not working. Yes, Pakistan has gained independence in 1947. So very new country as well. And how will that impact? Because Pakistan as a young country as well, how can it, do you see the changes in the last decades as well? Would be curious to hear. but that was what I wanted to share from the lessons from Finnish people. What I think that how we can see freedom, what it means individually, how we can cultivate the freedom, and especially the freedom of choice. And because we always can make decisions. That's not based on like where you're from or your background or anything. We might tend to look at things too much like what we've experienced in the past and be kind of like in a box in that way. At least I've been as well, thinking like this is who I am, this is where I come from, but how we can actually break free from the box and see outside the box ideas. That's also my responsibility as a coach for my clients, to see those options and different perspectives, to help others to find like what is the path to go. And this again comes together with the procrastination. I've been a master at procrastination, really just like waiting and waiting for the perfect answer to come to me and ponder different options. But like I mentioned before, how you can just make faster decisions and who can help you to see that. For me, I was too long in my own head and making decisions when I was changing my whole life, moving to a different country, moving in together with my boyfriend back then, now husband, changing my career, studying a new profession, starting my business. And there was a lot, too much to handle on my own. So for me, it really made a difference to have a conversation with others, to see different options and kind of like get that certainty. Because when we talk things out loud, even for friends or for your coach or a mentor, you hear them in a new light when you speak out loud. So that helps you to kind of get more clear on your thoughts. Hopefully, maybe not always. Do you have some insights, questions? At this point, I would love to hear. Next, I do want to go to my healthy habits workbook and sharing you one of my favorites from there. But I just wanted to hear if you have some questions or something to share us now. And yes, I am recording this, so you can unmute or type in the chat. So I will share the link to this recording later for those who couldn't make it. I know this was a very short notice. And let's see if we'll make the Thursday tea as a regular event to share. I want people to network, come together, how we can support each other. But let me share, and I'll see. Why I put together this healthy habits workbook is that our well-being obviously is essential, because if we don't have the energy to go after those targets, grow our business, it's just, yeah, what can I say? It's essential to take care of your well-being. And I mean, I bet everybody knows that, but it might be easier said than done sometimes. And I know I have challenges with sleep, for example, to have a regular sleep routine. And like I mentioned, we travel around the world. So it's always like when we move from different continent to another, and with jet lag and getting kind of to a new rhythm, that messes the sleep a little bit. But what I did want to share with you is a positive pause, like I call it. And this is more about mental well-being. And this has made a huge, huge impact in my life. maybe like other things, and now maybe Sarah can support me with this, but we tend to be maybe a little like pessimistic. I was thinking that I was just being realistic, but really that was the pessimist in me thinking that what is possible or not possible. Welcome, Shusma, to join us. If you can come on camera, that would be lovely, so we can see you. And so what this positive pause is that I noticed that I wanted to break free from the negative thought pattern that I had. Let's call it the pessimistic thinking in my case, and however it shows up maybe for you. And what I learned is that actually from my ex's brother was doing this because he was depressed, and coming from kitchen. Okay, but if you can hear us and you can type in the chat and share your comments, that's fine. So he was sharing his experience of like having these negative thoughts and how he was advised to take a pause and rephrase and think about like what positive is there in this situation. And when we do this constantly, we can really rewire our brain and the thinking. And gratitude is the great way to do this as well. Yes, thanks for sharing, Sapika. So this was before I knew anything about coaching techniques or anything. I was like maybe 25 or a little less at that point, and that made a huge impact because my ex, then my boyfriend, was really sharing like, hey, why can't you be happy for me, because he got a promotion or something or a raise, and I was just like, oh, why don't I get a raise? And I noticed like, oh my god, I'm happy for him, but I wasn't communicating that. So he was just like, yeah, maybe you can, put fuel in the fire and not throw sand there. And I was like, oh my God, yes, I definitely know where this comes from. The whole background, like how my thinking patterns was like showing up. And I really wanted to change that. That was a wake-up call for me to start changing my thinking patterns. But why I do want to share you this, and how important is it to take that pause and rephrase your thinking to the positive, is that it really opened up the whole new world for me and my life. Because when we are in the negative thinking, we're kind of like in the scarcity and thinking like what is lacking, what is missing. And that's not being in a creator mode. We are either struggling or creating. And I really wanted to start thinking differently, and how that showed up in my life. And I started to see possibilities instead of restrictions or those limitations. And I think that's been really a key for me to even be what I'm doing now. And like I shared, doing all the life changes that I've been doing, because how I've been practicing my thinking. So I want to recommend that to everyone. And it's not easy. And I still nowadays is when I notice that I get irritated a little bit. I'm like, oh, I should know better. But then it's also important to have self-compassion. Whatever you want to change, it takes time. It takes up to a year, consistent effort to change thinking patterns or habits. So yes, those of you who think that, oh, I've heard that it's it's like a few weeks or a few months, yes, you might see some changes, but actually the brain to then start thinking automatically, it takes up to a year, 280 days or something like that. But obviously that's personal, because we don't, yeah, it's personal. Let me just leave it there. But yeah, here's the link to the Healthy Habits workbook if you want to have a look at that. It's $7. So if you want to invest $7, and that's just I believe that when we invest a little bit, we actually have a look at that. So that's why it's not free. And also it took me some time to put it together. So what are your thoughts on this thinking, having the positive pause, how to change from negative to positive? Would be great to hear from you, or some other, of course, health habits that are essential for you, has made a great impact in your life. So it would be great to hear. Or, of course, this was answering your burning questions. So if I can support you with any burning questions that you have, let me know. You can raise your hand, come on mute, or type in the chat. Because this Thursday tea is for you, how I can support you. I'm just chatting it up here before you give me some challenging questions. We have another 20-25 minutes here. So I'm just gonna move forward, but if you do have the questions, we'll take them. I was also offering these LinkedIn profile audits, and related to that, I did want to share you some that I think that are key when you're building your business or your audience. And of course, you can apply this to other channels as well. I'm just using LinkedIn as an example, because that's what I've been now sharing with the clients who had the profile audits, and from my personal experience as well. And what I see on LinkedIn, there's a lot of potential, let's say. And first of all, I would like to say that whenever you're connecting with others, I do get like a lot of these just like sales contacts that they are just pushing their offers to me, and I'm like, I don't really care if it's not really for something that I would need right away. And what I use and what I prefer when connecting with others is to show your interest, why you're wanting to connect with someone. First of all, always when you push the connect button, put a personal message there, because that's how I see it. And I'm mostly just accepting those that also put a private message for me. Because I mean, it gives a personal touch, but also like, what's the purpose of connecting? Because you also want to have those in your network that you want to connect with and engage with, because that will impact also the engagement of your posts or whatever you're sharing. If, for example, as an entrepreneur, if you're sharing a lot of your content, you want people to be engaged. So you want to have the right audience there. Also, LinkedIn is great for peer support. So I'm connecting with fellow coaches, entrepreneurs, consultants. So of course, that's great as well. And I've been networking with a lot of experts and thought leaders around the world who are maybe hard to reach and you can't really find the emails. So my experience is like, when I do share a personal message when I want to connect, and how I can maybe edify them if I'm like really passionate and a fan of their mission. I would share that, and not the first contact being like, hey, can you join my event? That's not the purpose, because you want to be building long-term relationships there. And this, for example, has resulted that I've been then interviewed. I've been getting experts to join my events, but also then they've seen those posts together. And so I was interviewed also to other shows. My story, or our love story with my husband, was shared also in a book. And this was something that I never saw coming, but you never know who's looking for what, and who's seeing your message. I also was contacted when I was sharing my content, my videos. I was contacted by a media company who now wants to have me as a host to their podcast series. So just imagine what kind of opportunities there are when you build those relationships. First of all, have the right connections, and of course then the connections of connections. See the content you're sharing and what kind of possibilities you can create there. So that was that, connecting, put a private message, and that to be about the other person, not what you're looking from them, because you want to be there for a longer term. Is this useful for you guys? Good. And the other one is the headline. So what's underneath your name? And what I see a lot is people put their titles, for example, and sometimes the titles don't really describe a lot. Like I just saw a friend got promoted, and he's now like head of development, and I'm like, hey, so what do you do there? Just an example, like if you just have the title and the company, it might not tell a whole lot. So how can you use the headline, and especially the first words, because it doesn't show the whole. If you're using all the characters, it doesn't show the whole thing when you're posting comments, for example. So how can you use that in a valuable way? I would recommend you putting like, what's your mission? What are you doing? What kind of as a coach or entrepreneur, consultant, for example, what's the transformation that you're helping people with? So use that as a statement, so that those people who, for example, are looking for something, they would notice right away in the comment, like after your name, like, oh, this person is working in this realm. And of course, then if you want to put some credentials after that, that's fine, but I would really use those first words to attract the right audience, the right listener, to have that like spark the interest of the other person. And the same, of course, goes for other channels. If you're like on Instagram, how can you use that profile description to let people know what you help, who you help, and how you help others? Is this useful for you guys? If you do want a LinkedIn profile audit, I was doing this last week, and I do want to share a few more. Because like I said, I see a lot of potential in LinkedIn, especially when you're having your profile updated well. So it's $19. Yeah, I should be charging more for this, but I wanted to make it a very low bar for anyone to have my best 5 to 8. I've been kind of delivering 8 for everyone. 8 best advice that what I see that how you can enhance your LinkedIn profile based on the target that you have. Whether you want to connect with peers or other experts, or you want to get clients or get hired, what can we do to enhance your LinkedIn profile, have it up to date? So if you want my support with that, I put the link in the chat. So I'm just gonna offer a few more because, like I said, it's $19. So not something that I want to be doing every day, but I do want to offer these because I think this is such an essential. Like I was sharing, there's a lot of opportunities on LinkedIn, what I was experiencing, what kind of contacts I got, visibility, how you can grow your credibility in the area that you help others. So we have some more time together. Those were kind of the points that I wanted to share from the workbooks I've been sharing and audits, and what has been really essential in my life, building my business, audience, getting business opportunities, and also, like I shared in the beginning, how you can have your mind, body, just in place for you to feel energized and empowered to take those actions forward. What would be the topic that you want to discuss more? Like, put in the chat, or you can ask your questions, what comes to your mind.
Hi, Kaisa.
Hi, Sufika. What would you like to ask or share?
You know, I feel like there's always this sense of not having enough clarity. Or like I feel like I know what I want down, like deep down, but then when it comes to actually taking steps, then it's either like not going for it because of just the nervousness of if it's going to go through or not. And you know, so I feel like, and I know clarity comes from doing, and it's just been like not doing the part has been a struggle.
Do you have like an example, or you want to talk about in general?
Oh, let me actually, this is, yeah. So for example, I'm a realtor, and we just opened up this real estate company with my husband, and now I'm starting to like switch over. But you know, when I think about real estate, it's local. It's mostly local, right? I guess it doesn't have to be. I know Shanda says like you can get a referral fee, and I don't know how she was able to get the $170 million because she had a list and this and that. Because I feel like if I were to like go full in with this real estate company, then it requires a lot of my time, a lot of my dedication. And I quit my other job so I can be with the boys, so I can spend more time at home, not so I get busy again.
So where do you want more clarity? Or what makes you think that you don't have enough clarity?
Because then I feel like it's taking away so what I'm prioritizing right now is family life and my time with the boys. And I know like even when I have, like, let's say I have 5 clients, even with that, it gets like really overwhelming at times because I'm showing the properties, I'm doing other things as well. And I feel like maybe the problem comes is because I'm just one, right? If I had a team of people that could help me around, maybe, you know, one could be the listing agent, one could be like showing houses, one could be like doing market. Like I feel like maybe that structure is not in place. So then I think about like starting the company, and I was just talking to my husband about like, okay, we need to onboard people, but then it's like, oh, then I freeze and I go like, oh my gosh, okay, I do want more people, but then that means I'll have to manage them. That means I'll have to train them.
And then that's going to take up some of your time as well. Of course, like investing in onboarding people and managing people. So where do you want to use your time? And I think we can go deeper with you. Probably, maybe not solving this in a few minutes here,
Yeah.
but I see a lot of possibilities, and in the online world as well. I know when you think about real estate, it's like, okay, the houses are here, you're showing them here. But how you can just like, for example, you've been thinking about coaching, if I'm not mistaken, how you can just reach a larger audience, how you can really share your knowledge, do more like teaching, whether it is webinars, workshops online, or even building a course around it, how to, increase your wealth with real estate, investing and things like that. So I do see a lot of possibilities. Now we come to the time management. So what you can do, there's a lot of options, the way you can start with, and then how you can combine. Like you said, you want to have the family life and time with your boys. And you've mentioned also wanting to travel. So what can you do to combine what you want in your private life and then in your entrepreneurship? So the beauty of being an entrepreneur is that you get to choose what you want to do. And this is where I've been challenged as well, because I want to do this and that, and learn a lot of things. And a fellow entrepreneur said to me once, like, Kaisa, it sounds like you're running like 4 companies at the same time. So yes, things were moving very slowly because I was doing like a lot of things at the same time. So how I advise is to focus on one thing first and building one thing, and then get that kind of ball rolling, and then you can always like start growing different areas. So thinking your situation is like, okay, what are the options that would also suit your lifestyle, what you want in your family and the lifestyle, and what will work, and then think about what's there, what's your income target, what could you then charge from those options. Does this support you?
Yes.
But yeah, I hear there's always like, I know I want so much clarity. Like I said, I'm that recovering perfectionist who wants to think about all the options and what's the best option. And it's like how to choose and how to have the clarity to choose. But then I would really think about what is your number one priority and how you make decisions based off of that.
Yeah.
For me, it was like when I started my whole life transition, it was because of love. I was so certain about wanting to get to know my husband better and spend my time with him. But the fear of losing him was greater than fear of pivoting to another field and starting my business and moving away from my home country and away from my family and anything. So my number one priority was the love, and that then kind of like made me change all the other areas. So what is your number one priority, and how you want to kind of design your life and business around that?
Yeah, that sounds
but
good.
I do put in the chat, so if you wanna just find us a time to go deeper into finding your vision and clarity around that, there's a link you can go and find a time there.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yay. Good question. And yes, there's no answer in like 2 minutes, but hopefully that helps you. That has helped me, knowing your priorities, because usually we make decisions based on our number one priority of value. And yeah, if I can share more about that, is that my husband has been asking me for a while that starting a family, and I had a lot of fear around combining motherhood and entrepreneurship. And now I'm like, what if I had to choose, I know the answer, because I can always leave my company or do something else professionally. My number one thing would be the family and starting that. But I want to also think like it's not either or. How can I have them both? But knowing kind of what's the priority and what's driving the other decisions, that helps me. Okay. Do we have some other questions? I know Susma was there. Alan is there. Do you want to, I don't see you on camera, so if you want to type in some questions in the chat, or Sari, if you have some questions I can support you with. I know maybe you would have a lot to share from motherhood and entrepreneurship as well, but how can I support you?
Yeah, there would probably be a lot to share and a lot to talk about, but I just wanted to get back into something that you said in the beginning about speaking about your goals or what you want to do and sharing things with other people. We had a good discussion yesterday with other coaches about it, about how you actually, when you share something with others, it makes you kind of accountable, and then it kind of forces you to do things. So it's a good way to kind of accomplish something. When you share it with somebody, then it becomes real and you have to kind of do it because you told somebody you will do it. So I think that was a really good point that just came up with also with our discussions. And we are all coaches there in our group, but still we thought if we shared stuff with each other, then we are more accountable to do it actually. So that was a really good point there.
Yes, I don't remember the exact numbers, but Red Power, if somebody wants to check, he's been twice in my summit sharing about accountability, because that's a big topic. And what I hear from others, that people have a lot of plans, but holding oneself accountable for making those actions is another thing. So yes, when you write it down, share it with someone, and have someone to ask, like, hey, have you been doing it? It increases the likelihood of making that action from 5% to, I think it was 95%, at least 85, but I think it was 95. So if you think about these three, like, okay, write the goal down, or your vision, or whatever it is that you have been maybe procrastinating, like what I wanted to share today about the procrastination. So what you've been thinking a long time or not so long time, or what you know that you want to do, write it down, share with someone, and ask that person to come back to you to ask if you've done it. So that will increase the likelihood from 5% to 95. I'm pretty sure it was 95%. So that's amazing. And that's what I do in hosting a coaching group, that people come there to share their vision, their desired outcomes for the month, and the actions they are committed to doing the next week, because this is the accountability group for them to take those actions. So yeah, and I'm also part of coaching and mentoring group, because I need that for myself as well. So it's so good. Thanks for bringing that up, because first, like I said, it's like, okay, how do we choose where to start and what to do next, but also the follow through and who can support with that. Because I know I've been starting a lot of different projects and not following through or completing. So I know for me, it helps when I'm working with someone. For example, the last big summit I was hosting with a co-host. So we were accountable for each other. Not only that, that was making it way more fun to work together, because I'm a people person. I like to do that. And also just making, the choosing the dates and what to do and sharing the responsibilities, that was helpful for me to hold accountable. We'll have to now leave now. Thank you, Sushma, for coming, and I hope to see you next time. I think I'm gonna host this next week as well. So this was a very last minute idea that came up yesterday. So what I was sharing about, like, okay, when you get an idea, try and test it out, and what can go wrong. Nobody would show up. You showed up, so thank you for coming, and hopefully this was helpful for you, getting some more ideas and support. And yes, Supika, looking forward to discovering that vision and how to put these things together, because that's what I'm passionate about. And that's what, for example, people in my group coaching program are doing, that how can they integrate the personal and professional life and entrepreneurship, for example, because that gives a lot of freedom and flexibility often. How can they, for example, do that? One wants to live in 2 continents and have client relationship that he can get enough, get a good income to support his lifestyle and his personal life, as an example. So this is a great topic. Maybe we can cover that more next week. So you can also share with me your ideas on what you would like to discuss, or what's a topic or area that you would want some more guidance or advice or something to share. Okay, I'm gonna finish the Facebook Live, and if you have any questions for me now, I'm happy to support you a few more minutes. Let me see. Hi, Alan, can you hear us? I don't. If you want, I just wanted to check if you had a question. Hope to see you all next week. And if you feel like this is helpful for some of your some friend of yours, you're welcome to share the link. There's no registration. Just come to my Zoom room and we'll meet probably at the same time next week. I'm gonna check my calendar. So thank you again for joining. I'm gonna finish the recording, and if you're watching the recording, you can type your questions below and I'm happy to answer them as well.